A thrilling victory over the Marlins gives the team and its fans a small taste of what might have been in 2023. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on places like iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast. We're also on YouTube. If you haven't visited us there just yet, you should do that. I would love to interact with you on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. That way you know what's going on in the world of Cardinals baseball. Also, hit that notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode is being brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, so let's get into this. The Cardinals haven't given us a whole lot to smile and cheer about this season, right? It's been a tough go. They didn't live up to expectations. Things have been confusing at times on what the heck is going on with the roster, why they're doing certain things, who's getting traded now. We've had a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of things to talk about, and a whole lot of issues throughout the year. But last night's walk-off winner, man, that was pretty darn fun, wasn't it? I mean, you had to enjoy that a little bit. In fact, the whole game, in my opinion, was pretty enjoyable, despite it being a pitcher's duel last night, which I'm not always a huge fan of during the regular season, for sure, because postseason, you get pitcher's duels and everything's really intense and everything means a little bit more because every at-bat is huge. In the regular season, you get some, and there's always tomorrow, right? There's a chance to play tomorrow. There's a whole lot of season left normally, where in the postseason, your days are limited. You're in a best of 7 series. Sometimes it's that, a wild card game where you're in and you're out after one. So I enjoyed last night's game, though. And there were a couple of things that I wanted to point out of why this was such a good one to watch for the Cardinals. If you're a Marlins fan, you're losing your mind right now because you're like, what is happening to our team? But as a Cardinals fan, we had some good things to root for. Number one, Jordan Montgomery was back on the mound, and he looked healthy. He looked great. Monty left his last start against the White Sox, if you remember, right before the break with that hammy issue. And it looks like the All-Star break couldn't have come at a better time for him, because he never had to go on the IL, but still got 10 days rest in between that game and last night's game to heal up, to get some treatment on what was going on with his hammy, work through whatever it was that happened that day in Chicago. And he goes out there and delivers once again, gives you another quality start, tosses 6 innings, allows just 1 run on 6 hits while striking out 5 and walking just 2. After last night, his ERA is now down to 3.14 on the season, or pi, if you're a math nerd, which I am not. I was never really good at math, but even I know what pi means. And 3.14, that's really, really good in the game of baseball, especially in this day and age. And that has now got him in the top 15 in all of baseball in ERA, and he's now 7th in the National League. His ERA in July is now at 1.06, and if you go back to the start of June, he's at 1.48 in his last 8 starts. Phenomenal. And it's really going to be a tough pill to swallow if they do trade him at the deadline. And I say if, because as likely as it is to happen, nothing is ever 100%. You just really don't know. If the Cardinals decide that, never mind, we're going to hang on to Monty, we're not liking the deals that we're getting offered, and we'd like to take our chances and try to re-sign him, that's their prerogative. They could still do that. But as I've mentioned before, if Monty's mindset at this point is to go to free agency no matter what, see what he's worth, you can't really blame him for that. You can't. At age 30, this will likely be his last chance to really cash in on a big payday. You know, he's having this phenomenal year in his walk year, which tends to happen from time to time. And you can't fault him for testing the free agent waters. You know, I mean, you can put blame on Mo and the front office for not talking to him when he was available and wanted to talk about extensions in spring training and before the season started. They decided not to do that for whatever reason. And now Monty has the power. And if he decides that he would rather just see what everybody else will offer, and the Cardinals will have a chance to match it or beat it if they want to. But if that's what he wants to do, it's his prerogative, and you can't be upset about that. Number two, the bullpen comes through last night. Looks really, really good, especially Hicks. Shout out to Hicks, who, how many infield singles has this man given up this year? I don't know where you can find a stat like that, but man, has it happened a lot the last couple of games and throughout the season. That's because his stuff is so nasty. Like he has so much movement that he just saws people off left and right. He's always breaking bats and getting weak contact, and they just dribble to the left, to the right, whatever happens, and they get these infield singles. Quite a pickle he was in with first and third and nobody out in the ninth inning. And Luis Arraez coming up to the plate, the guy who does not strike out hardly at all. Hicks gets him to whiff for the second time in the game. If you remember, Stratton got him earlier in the game, and that was the first time that Luis Arraez has struck out twice in a game all season. That is not normal. He then gets Soler to ground back to the mound area, and Hicks bounces off the mound like a cat, makes an accurate throw to home plate to nail birdie. And we all remember in Miami when he had the ground ball to him and threw it to first and sails over Goldie's head. They end up losing that game, one of the rougher games that they lost this year. But this time, he does it all right, nails it, finishes it off with a strikeout of Cooper. Just a masterful job to get out of that mess. Stratton, as I mentioned earlier, gives up a run, but nobody's perfect. He whiffs 3. I mean, you can't expect your bullpen to throw shutout innings every single time out there, but he didn't have a blow-up inning or anything that you couldn't come back from. Gallegos throws a shutout inning. And how about JoJo Romero? JoJo Romero, a guy that, I'll be honest, I've thrown some jokes at him because I'm like, really? We're relying on JoJo Romero? That's who we're relying on? The dude has stepped up. Since a tough appearance against the White Sox on July 7th, he's now made 4 appearances, thrown 6 shutout innings, allowed just 1 hit, and strikes out 9 over those 4 games. So good pitching gives you a chance to win on most days, especially with this offense, who is really clicking right now. And that brings me to my third point about last night's game. The offense, who has been mashing recently, wasn't hitting all that well last night. They were having a tough time against a good young pitcher and Edward Cabrera, a guy that I talked about in the offseason that I was like, hey, you might want to check in on him, see if he's available, because he's got some good stuff, and he looked nasty last night. But because your pitching kept you in the game, you still had that belief that at some point the offense would eventually come through. That's how good they've been. And what a moment it was in the 10th inning with 2 on and 2 out when Arenado ripped that ball over the left field wall. Just the second walk-off win for the team this season. Just a fun moment. A fun moment during a season which has not been that much fun. And I'm still not exactly sure why the Marlins pitched to him there. I have no idea why you want to pitch to Nolan Arenado out of all people. You know, it was first and third. You had that base open if you wanted, and Wilson Contreras was on deck. I don't know about you, but if I had to take my chances of pitching to somebody, I'm going to throw to Wilson Contreras over Nolan Arenado every single time. I would much rather take my chances with Wilson. So Arenado comes through. He's now got 71 RBIs on the season after the 3-run jack, the walk-off jack, his 21st of the year. He now has his batting average up to 286, which cracks the top 10 in the National League at number 9. And after that tough April, where it looked like Nolan Arenado had never swung a baseball bat in his life. I mean, nobody has seen him that lost ever on a baseball diamond. He even admitted that. He's like, I've never been this bad. He goes, it's really been rough. Now we're looking at Arenado as that MVP type of guy at the plate that we're all used to. Since May, he's batting .308. Since June, .321. And in July, hitting .353. Just mashing. Brendan Donovan had the game-tying home run in the 6th inning, his 11th of the year. He's hitting 326 since June and 366 in July. Dude's got one arm, can't throw a ball right now, but he can hit, and he's been doing a fantastic job at the top of the order. Nolan Gorman had an RBI double in the 7th after the leadoff walk to Dylan Carlson, who had a fantastic at-bat there. Gorman hitting .500 over the last 4 games with 3 doubles and a dinger and 5 ribbies and 5 runs scored. He's getting hot. I mentioned it in the post-game video last night that the team, they're playing loose right now. And they're playing with some juice right now. They've got a little thing we call confidence, which they've never really had all year. It seemed like anytime they started to get something going and build something, they came crashing down with like a rip your heart out type of loss this year. And that hasn't happened. They've won 7 of their last 9. They've leapfrogged the Pirates. They're no longer in last place. We're in 4th place. All right. So they're finally out of the NL Central basement, which is nice. Is a nice feeling. You know, they haven't been there. I think I read at May 28th. They've been in last place since May 28th, and now they're finally out of there. So that's good. And for once, it seemed like the guys are having fun, finally, here in the 2023 season. Obviously, winning is a huge part of that, but it was just refreshing to see the team celebrating and hugging and laughing and smiling and enjoying this game of baseball once again. It was a good feeling, and I think most of us as fans felt the same way, that it was like, that feels good. It was nice. It was nice to get that during a season which has not been so nice to us. And what you saw last night was the type of team that we thought we were going to have all year, right? This is what we thought we were going to see a lot of. And the sad part is, now that we're seeing them kind of bonding and playing their best baseball together and enjoying their time together as a team, we're less than 2 weeks away from the trade deadline, and it's likely too late to save the season, and the team is going to be torn apart now, which is a real bummer, because now you're starting to see them do the things that we thought that they were capable of doing coming into the year. One of the names that has been brought up in a lot of trade speculation is that of Dylan Carlson. And we've got some fan reaction to the idea of trading him, or should we be trading Tyler O'Neill at the trade deadline this year? Should we be trading both? Maybe. We did a whole episode about it yesterday. We're going to jump into fan reaction about it next here on Locked On Cardinals. At one time or another, we all need a little financial help, and that's why Dave is great. Dave can get you cash when you need a hand between paychecks and can help you build credit by settling extra cash advances on time. We've all been in a situation where usually it happens with my car. There's usually something that goes wrong with the car, whether you get a flat tire or your alternator goes out or just something crazy will happen. Cars are expensive. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I have enough cash to take care of that right now. This is one of the situations where Dave can come in and help you out. Dave is the banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less, no credit check, no late fees. It's part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest, and then settle up later. Extra cash gives you more money to buy groceries, fill your tank. Gas is not cheap anymore. Finally get your car repaired, like I mentioned, or you can catch up on bills. Maybe you've got some dental bills or something else that you had to get done, and you need to pay that off. And you can do that now without having to wait for your next paycheck. You can even build credit when you settle up on time. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to make their finances easier. So if you're in a pinch, get the help you need by downloading Dave. Download Dave today at dave.com/MLB. That's dave.com/MLB. You could get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/MLB. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Eligibility criteria and instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve, member FDIC. The Cardinals battle the Marlins today at Busch Stadium. They're going for the sweep, and then they will head off to Wrigley Field in Chicago to face the Cubs. And you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, as per usual. Leave your comments below on YouTube. Also, hit me up on Twitter anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. You can do that at JD Sports Radio and at LO_Cardinals. Yesterday, I asked the question, who are you keeping? You're the GM. Pretend you're the GM. You're the president of baseball operations. You're making the decision here. Who are you keeping, Dylan Carlson or Tyler O'Neill? If one of them has to go, and you were able to get equal value in return, okay, so whatever pitching you're trying to receive in return, it doesn't matter, okay? You're going to get the same guy no matter which one you trade. Who's your pick? Who are you sending away? Who are you keeping? Steve M, 4985, says DC has a 376 slugging and 725 OPS. His OPS plus is 99. And average, by the way, in case you're wondering, is 100. Nobody is salivating over DC on his own. He's likely to go in a package deal. Mo may envision a DeYoung type resurgence next year for O'Neill, and his stock is very low right now as far as trade value anyway, which is a great point, Steve. Thank you for chiming in here. Whichever guy you move, you are selling low on at the moment because neither of them has done all that much to build their stock up. And the way that Cardinal fans usually value our players and the way Mo usually values his players, we think they're a lot better than other people think they are. Normally, a one-for-one deal probably doesn't net you much if you're just trading Tyler or Dylan for just one person. But if you put them in a package with some people, obviously your trade value will be higher. So if you were to team up like Tyler O'Neill and Jordan Montgomery for some return, probably going to be worth a lot more. Jordan Montgomery's a hot ticket right now. Same thing with Dylan Carlson. So you're probably not going to get much in one-on-one value, but if you put them as part of a bigger package, the return obviously going to be better. So good observation there by Steve. I assume he's saying he wants to keep Tyler O'Neill in this situation because he kind of bashes on DC there, but that's fine. That's fine. You want to keep Tyler O'Neill? I understand why you would want to keep Tyler O'Neill because I'm a guy who's been a big Bro-Neal fan this entire time. I love that he's got speed and power and he's got the Gold Glove defense. The problem is, got to keep him on the field. Josh D2821 says, keep DC, let him play nonstop. Stop benching him every other game and let him be every day. Maybe try just batting right-handed if he can't hit as well as a left-hander. Didn't Cedric Mullins do that for Baltimore or something? I don't remember Cedric Mullins being a switch hitter. I could be wrong there. I always remember seeing him batting left-handed, but I could be wrong. Again, I don't really cover the Baltimore Orioles or follow them all the time. But that's one of the reasons why he's not an everyday player, though. The same way Tommy Edman doesn't just bat right-handed, even though he's been better from the right side. He finds situations where the splits against that current pitcher allow him to bat right-handed against a right-handed pitcher. But as far as Dylan doing that, I haven't really noticed it that much, if at all, this season. Again, if I'm wrong here, let me know below. I don't recall Dylan ever batting righty against a righty, but maybe he's tried it a couple times the way Edman has. But that's the real problem with Dylan Carlson. And it's the point that everybody brings up is the splits against righties and lefties here. Against left-handers in his career, he's hitting .313 with a .384 on-base percentage, .481 slugging, .865 OPS. Very good numbers. Against righties, though, he's hitting .224 with a .308 on-base percentage, .375 slugging, and a .683 OPS. Not so good. Night and day stats there. And it's not like he hasn't had opportunities. He's had over 1,000 plate appearances against right-handers. Here's my thing. Will he improve enough against them to be the everyday guy that people thought he was going to be as he was coming up through the system? My point in that is that he's definitely got time on his side. He's only 24. I know it feels like Dylan Carlson has been around for like 8 years. He's not. He's only been around for 3. He's only 24. He'll turn 25 in October. He's got time on his side. As he matures, maybe something clicks and he becomes a better hitter as a left-handed hitter against righties. It's certainly possible. It's not like this is all he can ever be and there's no way to improve. He's 24. SCW 1870 says the only reason to trade Carlson over Tyler is because Tyler's trade value is so garbage, You wouldn't be able to get anything for him. If Mo genuinely thinks Tyler is a better fit than Carlson, then we are truly screwed until Mo is replaced. Thank you, SCW. And that's kind of the issue that I brought up too. We don't know what the motivation or what the motive in general for putting O'Neill right back in the starting role and announcing that as the move really is. Like, why say that? Why is it like Tyler O'Neill will be our our left fielder moving forward? Why? Why can't we kind of mix and match? And, when Carlson needs to go up against the lefty, he gets to start left. I don't know why they made that announcement. Are they doing it just so they can put him on display for teams who might want to trade for him? That's a possibility. That's a possibility. If Tyler O'Neill's not playing, you can't make other people want him anymore. But if he's healthy and you want to prove that he's healthy, that way people might be encouraged to try to trade for him. That's why you would do it. Or, as SCW says here, do they really feel he gives them a better chance to win over Carlson? Is that the case? I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking behind the scenes. I can tell you this, though. We got a switch hitting 24-year-old former first-round pick who you have under control until 2027 and is making under $1 million this year up against a 28-year-old who did flash MVP caliber abilities in 2021. He's got 2 gold gloves. He's got elite speed, elite power, but he can't stay healthy. And he's making a ton more money. O'Neill making almost $5 million this year and is going to be a free agent following the 2024 season. When you put it down like that, it's kind of hard for me to justify why you wouldn't keep Carlson and you would trade Tyler O'Neill. Like I don't know why it would flip flop and you would rather trade Carlson and keep O'Neill. Again, it depends on what you're going to get in a trade. Like if Dylan has to be a part of a deal, that way you can get a couple of elite arms, then I guess you have to take your chances there. And if you can't pull off a good deal that includes Tyler O'Neill, people are like, no, we don't want him. Then that hurts your trades. And we're trying to get better. And you can't just keep the same guys here next year because it obviously isn't working. They're not winning championships with them. So we'll find out what they decide to do soon enough. Injury updates are coming through. I've got why Tyler O'Neill wasn't activated yesterday. We've got that information, plus an update on Adam Wainwright. Some good news on Adam Wainwright. So we'll get into all of that next here on Locked On Cardinals. Want to win 100 times your money on daily fantasy baseball? You can actually do that. And the way to do it is by downloading the Sleeper app. Should be something that's already on your phone right now. If it's not, check it out. Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world. They had over 5 million active users in 2022. Were you one of them? If not, you should be. Earning some of the highest levels of engagement per user in the industry. Who doesn't want to be a part of that? Sleeper is now offering up to 100 times payout for up to 8-pick contests. So today in the game against the Marlins, going for the sweep. You think Arenado knocks another one out of the park today? Nolan Gorman has been on a heater recently as well. Maybe he tees off on one. It's up to you to decide if that's what you want to bet on. On Sleeper, you can swing for the fences with up to 100 times payouts. All you have to do is choose 2 or more players that you like and select more or less on their stat categories like home runs, strikeouts, hits, and a whole lot more. Get your picks right, and you could win big. It's very, very simple. Entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states. Use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for more details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. It's a lot of fun. The Cardinals are home against the Marlins today, going for that sweep, and then they'll hit the road to face the Cubs for 4 games, and you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Tyler O'Neill was set to be activated on Monday, but that didn't happen. We were all like, what's going on here? And then we thought it would happen on Tuesday. And again, it did not happen. So my first thought was, oh gosh, he got hurt again, didn't he? He got hurt like in warmups or something. That wasn't the case. But what the heck was going on? Well, manager Ali Marmol explained that with a bullpen game scheduled for today, the Cardinals wanted to keep all of their pitchers available through the game, which is why they delayed O'Neill's return until Thursday. And that makes perfect sense. Okay. You don't need him back right away, and you need all the pitching you can get. So that makes sense. Smart move. They have not decided on whether or not they'll be dropping a position player or a pitcher to make room for O'Neill yet. I suppose that kind of depends on how Wednesday's game goes and how many innings certain guys end up throwing. Because if you burn through somebody who throws, like, say, a Dakota Hudson, who throws like 3 or 4 innings or something, or somebody else has to do that, you can send them down because they're not going to pitch for a while, and that would be your move. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, one guy who was very excited about throwing was one Adam Wainwright. He threw a 30-pitch bullpen session on Tuesday, and from everything I've gathered, he was beaming, absolutely beaming after his bullpen session was done, and was feeling healthy again, saying, "I'd like to go ahead and pitch tomorrow after I felt the way I felt today." He received 2 cortisone injections, which will do the trick. Got one in his shoulder, one in his back, and that was reducing the inflammation that allowed him to regain his strength. So happy Waino is the kind of Waino that we want around, and that's the one we want to see. And hopefully he can get back on the mound for the Cardinals here soon and get those final 2 victories so he can reach 200 sooner rather than later. Rob Rain says he'll throw a live batting practice next week. Then a determination will be made on his next stop. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Be sure to catch every pitch of the Cardinals hometown broadcast for the upcoming series against the Cubs with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Cardinals go for that sweep today against the Marlins. Bullpen day. Dakota Hudson gets the start. Also, quick question, because this is something we were talking about online on Twitter. Do you put ketchup and mustard on your hot dog, or do you do just one or the other, or none of them? What are your choices? We're having a discussion on Twitter because it's National Hot Dog Day. So let me know in the comments below if you have a certain way that you like to do your hot dog. Also hit us up on Twitter as well. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter, LO_Cardinals, and at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.